Today, I'm going to talk about how you can have your best possible year. So, this is a podcast that you want to listen to make the coming year everything that you want. Because I don't think any of us go, I want to have my worst possible year. Most of us go, we want to go and do something different in the new year. We want to create a life that we love. But how do we do that? Now, this is not a conversation about creating New Year's resolutions because most people, when they do them, they don't tend to work for them, right? And, I want to have this conversation because I was out on New Year's Eve talking to some people I know saying, oh, what are you hoping for next year? What do you want to make happen? What do you want to stop doing? And they go, we're not making any New Year's resolutions because research says it doesn't work. Within 2 weeks, people have already given up what they said they wanted to do. And look, I believe that that happens more because people take this all or nothing approach when it comes to New Year's resolutions, right? If they make a mistake, if they drop off the wagon, I can't do it. What's the point in even trying? I want you to lose the all or nothing approach and take a very different approach. Now, I want to share with you a process that you can use to create the best life possible. I've been doing this for the last 7 years, and this year I've included an additional step that I learned from listening to Mel Robbins' podcast, which I really like. But her process is very similar to one that I've always used, but it had a great addition. So I'm going to share with you what you can do to make the coming year your best year ever. And like I said, that's what we want. Now, what it is about doing an honest review of your year, of what was good, what was okay, what wasn't great, what was terrible. And why this is so important is if you don't take the time to look at what worked and what you liked and what didn't work, you can fall into the trap of doing the same thing. And I'm sure you've heard the quote that it's a definition of insanity doing the same thing, expecting to get a different result. So I'm going to share with you this process because I want you all listening to live a life you really enjoy and to get some of the things that you want in life, to have more moments that make you happy, to learn the lessons, to, create that life that you love. Because my personal motto is it's never too late to live the life you love. Now, I'm really lucky because back in 2017, I brought this diary from a podcast I was listening to, and it was Goodbye 2017, Hello 2018. And it took me through a whole pile of questions. Some of them were an overkill. There were too many questions. It was repetitive. But I followed the questions in this book, and I tend to just write them in a notepad each year. And it's given me really valuable information on my life. And when you look back to what I wanted 7 years ago, is that happening? Have I created those things? Or am I just living the same life over and over again? Now, it's really easy for that to happen, right? Time just goes faster and faster and faster. And before we know it, another year's done. And it can just merge into sameness. Now, I know that when I reviewed my last year, I'd said what I didn't enjoy and didn't want to happen. And to be honest, at the end of this year, I was feeling the same way that I did a year ago. So for me, it's really important to go and look and go, okay, what's causing that unhappiness? Where are my actions contributing to it? And what can I do differently? Because if I keep doing the same things, it's likely that I'm going to get to the end of this year and feel the same freaking way. And I don't want to. So the first step is you want to look at what your main events, all the good things that happened in the past year. And it can be really hard to do. And this is a tip that I got from Mel Robbins' podcast. She said, get your phone out and go through your camera roll and look at all the pictures that you've taken for a year. And usually we take pictures when we're doing something that makes us happy. So it gives you the information. It's also a really great experience because you forget all those moments through the year. You look at a photo and it brings back that happy memory. And taking photos is really important. Now, I have to admit that I'm not a photo taker, right? I really like to be in the moment rather than being one of those people that are wasting their moments taking pictures. However, there is value in taking pictures. My partner tends to take a lot of pictures and I'm like, send me the good ones. Although sometimes he doesn't, and sometimes he takes too many photos that it's overwhelming. In the past, when I have taken pictures, I remember going with my daughter to Disneyland, which is her dream, and she carefully took a photo of me in front of the Disney castle. Now, she was, grown up at the time, and when I took one of her, I wasn't really careful with I'm just like, "Here, snap." And I cut off the top of the Disney castle. And she goes, "Mum, it was my dream. How could you take such a terrible photo?" Now, my partner says the same thing. So it not made me, I kind of don't enjoy taking photos. So I don't, take the time to do a good job. But I'm going to change that in the year going forward. I'm going to start taking pictures of my own moments, of the moments that make me happy, of the moments I want to remember, even some of the moments that make me sad. So when I come to this point next year, it'll be really easy for me to go through. And I did start that on New Year's Eve this year, and I took some on New Year's Day just so I could remember. Because when I looked at my year, the past year of highlights, there was so much that I'd forgotten. You know, you might remember the really great things and the really shitty things, but there were so many things in between that I didn't remember. So going through the photos was such an amazing experience and reliving some of those really fun moments. And you kind of go, I did a lot. There were a lot of things that I did this year that were great that I'd forgotten. There were some really challenging, sad, horrible moments in my year. And they're just as important to focus on because, no one lives the Instagram perfect life where everything is fine all the time. And if I want to have a great year next year, I need to be really freaking honest with myself so I can do that. And I think that is the step that we often forget to do. So I go through in these books that the first step is what were the highlights of the year? And, what did I create? What did I achieve? And what did I make happen? And it did take me quite a while to go through that. And, and looking through the data of the last 7 years, that is a really interesting experience too, because some years I've achieved a lot, other years, nothing. And being able to reflect on the reasons why and whether I wanted to and whether I achieved the things I set out to. Sometimes I didn't really have a plan of what I was achieving. I mean, I looked at this past year on my podcast, and back a couple of years ago, I was doing a podcast every week. I realized in the past year, I'd only done 7 episodes. Now, I want to do way more than that. I want to do a regular podcast. So that's one of the things that I'm planning to do in the coming year. I also have avoided videos throughout the year. I much prefer the podcast where I don't have to see myself. As you get older, sometimes looking at yourself is not as fun. I probably have avoided the camera more in the past year. So I've actually turned the camera on in this podcast. So, I'm talking to you, I'm not looking perfect, but here we are. So look at what you created, what you've achieved. And what I want you to do is get a notepad out and write this stuff down. Now, you can do this stuff on your own or you can do it with your family. Great experience to do. I wish I'd have done it with my kids growing up each year to really reflect on, what we did, the great experiences, what we've achieved, and celebrate some of that stuff because life just goes by so quickly. And it's really important to take the time to remember some of those things, right? And the notebook is really good. And like me, I've got it going back 7 years. And it's a bit frustrated when I was reviewing some of it because some years I was pretty lazy. And some years I've written more. The more you write and the more information is there, the more it helps you review. Now, if you're not at the beginning of the year, it doesn't matter. You can take stock of your life at any point and look back 12 months. Doesn't matter when it is. What matters is that you're actually looking at. So you can live the best possible life because that's what we all want to do. And if you are single listening to this, living a life that makes you happy is going to make you so much more attractive to the opposite sex because no one wants to date someone who's miserable and unhappy. A lot of marriages and relationships have ended for that very reason. They don't want to date someone that's full of a gaping hole full of needs. So working on some of this stuff and creating that life. And you know what? You get to create it. You get to make the choices in your life and to look at some of the things that you want more of in your life and you want less of in your life. You want to look at the things you learnt over the years. So the questions that I do ask myself is, and I'm going to go through them really quickly. What were the main events and milestones in your life this year? What did you create, achieve, and make happen? Include the big and the small things because it's not all about the big things. Okay. Achievements can be really little things, can make you feel quite happy. So record them all. Next, what are you really proud of in the year? What were your happiest moments? Where did you have the most fun? Where did you feel the most peace? And when did you feel the most love? Now, it's really important not to just look at the positive things, right? Because sometimes when you look and answer these questions, maybe there isn't a lot that was fun. Maybe there weren't many happy moments. Maybe there was a lot you weren't proud of. This is just as important to look at, right? Because if you want to make any changes, you've got to be really honest with yourself. Look, there were moments in the past year that I really wasn't particularly proud of myself, where I got angry, where I said things that I shouldn't, where I damaged relationships with people in my life that, filled me with regret and guilt and shame. And being really honest about how I made that happen allows me to change and heal some of those experiences. Our lives are not picture perfect all the time. And it's really good to be brutally honest with yourself, right? Ask yourself, what was the most unexpected thing of the year? What did you discover about yourself? Sometimes we can be really good at lying to ourselves and not really being honest about who we are, what we enjoy, what we hate. And maybe we're busy living someone else's expectations for our lives. Be honest. What were your hardest moments in the past year? What were your biggest challenges? What were you disappointed by? Write it down, get it out, right? Ask yourself if you achieved what you set out to last year. And this is not as a thing of failure. It's about giving you the information and a roadmap to how you can get to living the life that you want, right? So if you didn't achieve it, what got in your way? What stopped you from achieving it? Was it that it was easy to put your time and focus on other things? Do you know, sometimes it can be easy for us to put time and effort into what comes easy. Maybe it's easier for you to spend time at work than it is to go out and meet someone or to heal some of the crap that is in you. And let's face it, the older we get, there is more stuff. And if you don't deal with it, it keeps coming up. And, I did see a pattern of that in my own life. There's relationship patterns that I haven't healed that I still need to. And I need to do something different. It's about taking responsibility, having courage, having some really difficult conversations with myself and with other people. And, it's being able to say sorry, it's being able to make some changes to build strong, great relationships with the people around you. Now, if you didn't achieve what you set out to, what got in the way of that happening? What are the most important lessons you learned in the past year? And what will you remember this year of your life for? So it takes a bit of time, but like I said, it's really worth it. And it's worth it. You could keep it in a folder in your computer. You could keep a notebook that you come back to each time. But it's really simple. You want to really look at what really gave you joy, what gives you peace, what is fun for you, and write it down. And if you don't know, it's time to go out and be a scientist in your own life. Go play, go find what you enjoy doing, and be really honest with what it is you enjoy. And put more moments deliberately into your life of the things that you enjoy. Now, when I've looked back of where I say the things I enjoy, it's pretty similar each year for me, the things I enjoy. And what's interesting is in the last year, there were some of them I didn't do as often as I would have liked. And it's kind of interesting that some of the things I might have done when I was single that really brought me joy, I haven't done as many now I'm in a relationship. So it's important to still build some of those things back into my life. Now, for me, I love the connection I have with other people in my life. So my children, my family, my friends, my partner, those relationships are really important. And they give me a lot of joy. So making sure that they're good is important to me. I love reading. So spending some time reading is really good. I really love being around water, swimming, um, walking along the beach. Now, I realized that I hadn't spent much time walking along the beach in the last year. And I want to build more of those moments. Even I love swimming in a swimming pool. I hadn't done that as much as I had in the past. So, again, I want to build more of those particular moments into my life. Um, yeah, so I want to change some of those things. Like I said, I want to do some more podcasts. I want to connect more with friends in the coming year and, continue to have fun adventures. And I want to continue to travel because I really love traveling and I want to continue to learn. So also, I want to meditate a bit more. I used to do a lot more meditating, so I'm going to build much more of that into my life. I want to build some healthier habits around diet and exercise. And, when we're healthy, we feel better about ourselves. So there's some of the things that I'm going to do. But what I'm going to do is it's not an all or nothing approach. It's a slow, long game where I'm going to do bite-sized pieces each day. Another thing that I really said is an intention for the coming year is I want to declutter the house I live in because, we combine two households worth of stuff and we've got too much stuff and your stuff in boxes, rooms that we can't use because there's too much stuff in there, the garage that's full of stuff. So this year it's all about declutter. And, I felt really proud of myself on New Year's Day, feeling tired because we had a late night. But we put the Christmas tree down, we sorted out the kitchen and decluttered that. And I actually took a picture of it because I'm like, it was a small thing, but I felt really good that I'd achieved a bite-sized action of one of the things that I wanted. So it really is just about taking small steps to get what you want, right? So back to the questions. Then what you want to do with the year ahead is, after you've been really honest with the year past, what do you dream for the coming year? Use your imagination. What do you want? Take some time to daydream about what it is. Look at what changes you want to make in the coming year. And I was just talking about some of those for me. How do you want to see yourself grow? What do you want to make happen? Write it down. What do you want to feel more of in the coming year? So use some of the information from this year to look at how you can make next year, this year being the best year you possibly can. And it is about being brutally honest with yourself and not glossing over the stuff. If you say you want a relationship, be really honest with yourself for why that hasn't happened. And, sometimes we see ourselves quite differently to how we really are. And, that's where a coach can come in to be really honest with you and give you the roadmap of how you can get to where you want to be. Now, sometimes we can lose our way of creating that life that we want. And I did hear in Mel Robbins' podcast, she was talking about how, if you're going to a friend's place and you're lost, you'll ring up the friend and go, I'm lost. How do I get to your house? The first thing they'll say is, where are you? So they can give you directions to where you need to be. So this process is a bit like that. You're honestly looking at where you are and planning how you can get to where you want to be. So you can live that life that you want in the coming year. So you want to look at what's working. What do you want to do more of in the coming year? And what do you want to stop doing? And be honest with yourself. If you're overeating, if you're over drinking, if you are, dating people who are unavailable, if you say you want to meet someone but you're not putting any effort into it, be really honest about what you need to do and what you need to stop doing. It's no point me saying that I want to lose weight and pigging out on food all the time. There's no point in me saying I'm going to be healthy if I'm just going to sit on the couch all the time. Now, I know that one thing that I want to stop doing so much, and I'm going to be honest about one simple thing I want to stop doing so much in the coming year, is I want to stop binge watching so much TV. I found after my mum passed away, it was a way to just numb out. And I do find myself doing that more than other activities when I just want to relax. But the thing is, instead of feeling relaxed, it tends to make me feel um, less energy than before. And if I read a book, it's a very different experience to watching something on Netflix. One, I actively use imagination, I use my brain. One, I'm just zoning out. And I have noticed that when I do too much binge watching of TV, it does make me feel like I've got no energy and I don't want to do anything. And an achievement is not watching every freaking series on Netflix and Stan and whatever, streaming platform it is. So one thing I want to stop doing is stop watching so much TV. I want to either read a book, I want to go do something active, go for a swim in the pool, have a great conversation. And yeah, there is time and place for binge watching in its place. So I want to stop doing it so much and start putting some other things in place. I, I want to work on my relationships with my children, with my friends, with my partner. I want to make them as good as they possibly can be. And, sometimes I need to change some things within myself for that to happen and being really honest with myself. Now, I have found it's quite interesting because I do the dating relationship coaching. It can be, and sometimes when you mentor people, you're giving them advice and telling them what to do. And when you do some of that in your own personal relationships, it's not great. I need to stop doing some of that. I need to stop. My partner would say, stop interfering. Whereas I didn't see it as interfering. I would see it as, contributing. That's not what people need. Sometimes people just need to be listened to be heard, to be understood. They don't need advice. They don't need you to fix things for their lives. So I want to change some things in the way I go about my relationships and be really honest about that. So I want you to look at what you're going to stop doing, what you're going to start doing. Yeah, look at those moments in life. We had, one of our challenging moments this year is health scares. My partner had a bit of a health scare throughout the year. So it does make you, and he's fine, it does make you rethink some of your healthy choices, some of your choices around food, some of your choices around alcohol. And, some things might feel good in the moment, but they don't feel good in the long term. So, yeah, look at what you're going to stop doing. Look at what you're going to start doing. Look at those moments that give you absolute joy, right? And find what they are and deliberately put more of them into your life. And, sometimes you might need to go out and take some action that makes you feel really uncomfortable. Okay. It's not just about doing the things that we enjoy. If we want to have a different life, sometimes we have to make steps that feel hard for us because we don't have the skills, we don't have the knowledge. It's not somewhere we're so comfortable about, right? But it's about changing that. For example, if you wanted to become better at running, the only way that you're going to do that is by running. You don't just go decide, I'm going to run and I'm going to go run a marathon of 20 Ks. You probably end up killing yourself, right? Having a heart attack, whatever. You have to work up to it. You have to take action and practice regularly to be a runner. You have to run. No one's going to do that for you. And to start with, you're probably going to freaking hate it. So that is a lot of things in life. But when you take the action and you're successful, it feels good. You can celebrate that you've actually gone for a run 5 days a week and you're getting better at running. So it could be whatever that is you want to change in your life. Sometimes it takes hard actions and work, but the rewards at the end, absolutely worth it. Okay. And yeah, you just have to start with one step at a time to create the change that you want rather than falling into the default things that are easy for you to do. Easy doesn't always mean good. And some of the best things that you can do come from those little steps. I mean, I know that when we sorted out the kitchen and it was a hot day, it was 39 degrees, but the sense of achievement that we felt at the end of it was motivating to then go, okay, what are we going to do next? And then we're creating a space that we live in that makes us feel happy, that when you come into the house, you feel joy, that you're not embarrassed of the clutter in your house and you're happy to invite people around. So sometimes you have to take some hard actions. And when it comes to dating, it does involve getting off your couch. It does involve going and meeting people, but go as you're creating this life you like. It makes you more interesting. It makes people enjoy meeting you more. And you can actually have fun and be playful meeting people. And, if you're going to meet your person in this year, enjoy the process to get there. Sometimes it's a timing thing, sometimes it's a number thing. But in the meantime, create that life you love. So, in recap, I want you to go review your year. Go through your phone. And if you didn't take a lot of photos and you didn't have a lot of great moments, that's valuable information. Do you want to keep doing that? Or do you want to change something next year, this year, moving forward, whatever point you're listening to this podcast? Because it doesn't have to be at the beginning of the year, okay? It can be at any point where you just look back and go, I'm going to do something different moving forward, okay? So if you didn't do a lot you enjoyed, start to change that. If you haven't gone on enough dates, look at how you can change that. If you're not getting success, look at how you can change that. But start taking your pictures and record your life this year and get a book out and record what's happening. And at the end of each month, review it and adjust what you need to do rather than just Groundhog Day, living the same day over and over and over again. You want to learn something to change something. So look at what was good, look at what wasn't good, and look at what you want next year, and then start making bite-sized steps and action to get there. It's not all or nothing. It's just one step at a time, gets you closer to where you want to be. And I'm going to be going and doing the same thing. I'm going to take my own pictures. I'm going to be really brutally honest with myself. And, start with, I'm going to put the camera on my podcast. And some days I'm going to look okay. And some days I might look terrible. I'm going to do more podcasts this year. I'm going to build more experiences with family, with friends, fun adventures with my partner, more travel. I'm going to do some beach walks. I'm going to really be brutally honest with myself and make the changes where I need to make the changes. So I wish you every happiness this year. And now you've got a blueprint to get there. And I'd love to hear how you find the process, what you found out, what changes you're going to make. Share them with me. I would love to hear. And if you are struggling creating that life that you love and with your dating life, reach out. I'm here to support you. And sometimes we do need some help. We do need to borrow someone else's belief in us because it can feel hard, but you can change that. It's never too late to have the life that you've imagined, the life that you love. And this year you've got this. Thanks for listening, and bye for now.